Hello viewers, I am A. Hasina BV, Assistant Professor Computer Science and Engineering Department, Rohini College of Engineering and Technology. This is the video presentation for another one topic for the subject Database Management System. We can see one topic Concurrency Control from the third unit. Before that, we can see the objectives of studying this topic Concurrency Control. To understand the need of concurrency control and to identify the transaction concurrency problems. Now let us see what is meant by concurrency control. It is the process of managing simultaneous execution of transactions in a shared database to ensure the serializability of transactions is known as concurrency control. It is the process of managing simultaneous operations on the database without having them interfere with one another. It prevents interference when two or more users are accessing database simultaneously and at least one is updating data. Although two transactions may be correct in themselves, interleaving of operations may produce an incorrect result. So the simultaneous execution of transactions over a shared database can create several data integrity and consistency problems. Three common problems of concurrency are last updated problem, temporary updated problem, incorrect summary problem. Let us see one by one. First one is last update problems. The problem occurs when two different database transactions perform the read or write operations on the same database items in an interleaved manner, that is concurrent execution, that makes the values of the items incorrect, hence making the database inconsistent. For example, consider the below diagram where two transactions Tx and Ty are doing on the same account A, where the balance of the account is 300. Let us see the transaction Tx and Ty. At time T1, the transaction Tx reads the value of the account. So we assumed the account initial balance of the account A is 300. So at time T1, Tx is reading A. At time T2, transaction Tx is doing the reduction of amount 50 from the account A, but it only detected but not updated. It not executed the right operation, only it is reducing amount 50 from A's amount. After that, at time T3, transaction Ty reading the account A. At time T4, transaction Ty adding some amount 100 to the previous amount of account A. At time T5, none of the transaction performs. At time T6, now only the transaction Tx writing the account value of A to the database. But at time T7, transaction Ty writes the value of account A. So it will write as done at time T4, that will be 400. It means the value written by Tx is lost. That is, the value written by the transaction Tx at time T6 is, that is actually the amount will be 250, isn't it? So that updation will be lost. That is, the updation performed by the Tx will be lost. Hence, the data becomes incorrect and the database sets to inconsistent state. So, this is an example for the last updated problem. And second one is temporary updated problem. This problem occurs when one transaction updates a database item and then the transaction fails for some reason. The updated item is accessed by another transaction before it is changed back to its original value. It occurs when one transaction can see intermediate results of another transaction before it has committed. Let us see the example. Two transactions are there, transaction X and Y. At time T1, transaction X is reading the account A. At time T2, it is adding some value 50 to the previous value of A. Then at time T3, it executes the write instruction, write of A, that is it updates the new value to the database, new updated value of A to the database. At time T4, another one transaction Ty is reading the account value A, but after some time instant T5, at the time T5, due to one problem in transaction faced by the transaction Tx, such as server down problem, the transaction Tx is rollbacked. Transaction Tx is rollback. So the previous updation performed by the Tx will be rollbacked, undone, but the transaction Ty have read the account information A at time T4 will be wrong. Okay, so then at time T5 the transaction rollbacks due to server problem and value changes back to 300. So initially assume the initial value of A will be 300, and after that adding 50 it will be 350, but due to the rollback operation it changes back to its original value 300. But the value of account A remains 350 for the transaction Ty. For the transaction Ty, it have read the value of A as 350, but the value of account A remains 350 for the transaction Ty as committed, which is the dirty read and therefore known as the dirty read problem. Okay, the transaction T1 have read the wrong value, which is called as dirty read. So this problem is otherwise called as dirty read problem. And the third problem is incorrect summary problem. If one transaction is calculating an aggregate summary function on a number of records, while other transactions are updating some of these records, the aggregate function may calculate some values before they are updated and others after they are updated. So this problem occurs when transaction reads several values, but second transaction updates some of them during the execution of the first one. For example, in this example, two transactions are there, transaction 1, transaction 2. Transaction 1 is accessing on account B and doing some modifications on the account B and updating the modification. But at the same time, the transaction T2 is taking the aggregate function of the accounts A. It adding some value, account value A, and it adding the account value of B with the previous sum. So likewise it is doing calculating some aggregate values. At the same time, another one transaction T1 is doing the modification on the account B. So this leads to incorrect summary problem. This leads to incorrect summary problem. Also another one example we can see, one transaction is calculating the total balance of accounts X, Y and Z. Meantime, another one transaction T5 has transferred doing some modification on the account balances of X and Z. It is transferring some amount 10 from the balance of X to Z. So now the T6 now has wrong result. So this is an example for the incorrect summary problem. So this problem can be avoided by preventing T6 from reading the balance value of X and balance of Z until after T5 completed its updates. And now we can see the possible university question from this topic. Here this only one possible question is, explain the problems of concurrency or problems occurred with concurrent transactions. We have to explain the three problems with the examples. Thank you.